Mexico City, and that's probably the biggest city I've ever been to. Yeah, densely populated in that sense. But I mean, of course, it's not like I experienced the whole city. It was just like sort of a business area, Distro Federal, if you know where that is. In any case, so here I am in Bangkok, and as mentioned, potentially, in other videos, I can't remember, I'm here on a grant from school, from USD, where I work. And I'm studying the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurial culture. I'm studying or trying to find out information about how technology in higher education here in Thailand, specifically Bangkok, is growing and what sort of entrepreneurial programs they potentially have. I can tell you that I've been very successful just sort of reaching out to other guys who are fairly mature entrepreneurs. So guys like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who you could argue is like, well, yeah, but they're not an entrepreneur because they're not 20. But as I was talking to a guy yesterday, he's like, you know, I had some older gentleman actually mention that to me. He was like, so you're like, you know, you're in your 40s. Like, what are you doing, you know, working at a startup? And he says, you know, you're not 20. And his response was perfect, which was, well, yeah, but that's the point. It's like I have years of experience starting businesses, exiting businesses, making mistakes, failures, and having wild successes. So that, you know, you could argue positions him to be a much better person to start up a startup. And he even mentioned to me yesterday, we were going to this other, we were basically leaving his office and going to another meeting. And he's like, you know, I can't believe it. He says, honestly, I think it just gets easier once you put in a ton of hard work. Which is to say that he built a team recently that he's just put together in 2 weeks. And so that's amazing. He's got like developers and all that. So anyway, so he was going to meet with a couple of his colleagues that are working on that project. So anyway, so my appointment's with this guy, David Shelters, and I'll actually put a link to him below. And the reason being is that he has been here in Thailand for years, and he has studied startups in Thailand for years. And his recent book that is very data heavy, and he's actually come up with a system to measure the success of a startup. And I'm very interested to hear why he came up with it, first of all. Secondly, how he proves that it is valid, that sort of thing. And then what he's going to do with it. Is he just going to basically put the formula in his book, or is he going to sort of license it out to VCs, or, you know, what's his vision for it? So that'll be interesting to talk to him. So David Shelters is his name. And additionally, I met him through this other gentleman, David Henderson. David Henderson is the CEO of a company called Driver, drvr.co, and I'll put the link to his information below as well if you want to check him out. And that was one of those deals where I was on a website, a blog basically, about tech in the local area called techinasia.com, you know, easy name to remember, right? And there was a couple people saying, you know, you should do this in Thailand, you should not do this in Thailand, open a business, don't start a business, do it this way, don't do it this way. And he gave a very non-emotional, accurate, at least from my perspective, response. So I emailed him, I said, hey, that's pretty interesting, I'm coming to Thailand, is there any way you can meet? And he responded, yes, Mike, here's the article that I referenced that I wrote, and here's my contact info, reach out to me. So I sent him an email, and literally within a day, he had gotten back to me and said, yeah, I'll totally help you, I'll talk to you, and in fact, I'll introduce you to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these people. And so that's how this meeting got set up with this David Shelters gentleman. And so anyway, so I asked him yesterday, I said, look, you know, I mean, this is sort of what I do in the sense that in the United States, it's very common, at least for me and others, to, via email introductions, get hooked up with someone in business. It's not weird to, you know, I've received an email that says, hey, Mike, how's it going? Haven't talked to you in a while, from someone who I've, you know, been friends with or colleague for a number of years. Want to introduce you to this guy or this gal, and these are the reasons, and hopefully take it from here. And then, you know, dear sir, this is Mike Somerville, University of San Diego, president of the, you know, Converge user group, or lives in Southern California, or travels to, or whatever the topic, right? And then I usually respond, hey, thanks, dude, and greetings, new person, what can I do to help you? And I mean, it just literally will start business relationships that quickly. And I've been told that, oh, that doesn't happen in Thailand. Now, one would argue that those statements are based on people's experience with sort of old Thais. And I would say that people that are on email, instant messenger, regular communication on a daily basis, that's very acceptable, because that's sort of the medium. And while there's nothing that replaces face-to-face, I'll tell you that right now, because serendipitously, I was at a co-working space yesterday called The Hive, and I did another video, and I'll put that link, I may have to do it below. I don't know if I have enough subscribers to be able to embed a link to another one of my videos. Hi, I'm not really popular, but in any case, The Hive is a co-working space. There's two of them in Bangkok. One of them also is like a five floor place, and it's got a spa like on the 4th floor, and then it's got co-working spaces all the way up. This one that I was at, which was the Hive 49 or Hive 69, actually I think it's on Sukhumvit 69, over near, oh god, I think was it ThongLo? No, it wasn't ThongLo. Anyway, it was another stop. And when I was there, the meeting that I was supposed to, or I don't know, it was a meetup basically, and it was someone lecturing on their experience with using social media to boost your business. So I thought, okay, well, the topic, while not wildly interesting to me, I do have an interest in seeing, okay, so what are startup meetups like in Bangkok? So that was the main reason I signed up for it. It got delayed 2 weeks, so I'll go to it in a couple of Mondays. But I emailed David and I said, hey dude, so I'm like down the street, and you mentioned your office was in this location. I'm not really familiar with it. Where are you? He responds back within about 5 minutes and says, oh yeah, actually walk outside, walk down the street 100 meters, and then take a left and walk 200 meters, and our office is basically right there. And I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm in the right sort of area of Bangkok. And David Shelters actually mentioned to me yesterday. He said, look, the Ekamai area is sort of the startup hub of Bangkok. And I mean, I'm sure there's not just one spot, because of course when you say Silicon Valley, it's not just one street. It's not just Ekamai in San Jose, right? But there's Sand Hill and other locations like that are absolutely sort of synonymous where everything got started. But Mountain View wasn't amazing until Google, and Cupertino, no one knew where the hell that was until Apple, right? So anyway, it all becomes popular based on wild successes that occurred, and they just sort of branch out from there. So I'm curious to hear why Ekamai started, and why it's expanded. What are the next upcoming places? Because I'll tell you right now, this is a very common sight in Bangkok, right? So you look up and you see a crane next to a brand new building, and next to the brand new building there will be another brand new building. It's exploding like crazy, and probably has been for, I don't know whether the rate has increased, but I can tell you that I've been coming here 5 years, and the BTS SkyTrain, when I first got here 5 years ago and took it from, I basically took it, I was a tourist, so I was going from my hotel, and I took it all the way down to the Chao Phraya River to take a little, boat, longtail boat up to the Grand Palace, to do some touristy stuff, which is actually quite amazing if you don't get a chance to do it. I also have a link to riding on that river, and I'll put that either below or above or wherever they let me put it. So I did that, and in doing so, I'm like, oh my god, this BTS SkyTrain is amazing, there's no people on it, it's totally free. And I would talk to Thais, and they're like, oh no, it's not free. Sometimes it's like 38, 42, 46 baht. You do do that every single day, times 2 each way, it becomes expensive. I'm like, okay, I get that. I said, but, if you're on this thing, presumably you're working in an office somewhere in downtown Bangkok, and you're not starving, you're not making minimum wage. But in any case, I was like, yeah, I can't believe there's not many more people riding. Fast forward about 3.5 years, and I really, about a year and a half ago, started noticing, man, this train is packed. And it's not, not foreigners, right? I mean, it's mainly Thais. I was just on it now, and it's about 7 o'clock, and the platform was next to empty, and the train itself was probably at about 20% capacity. Now, contrast that with the way that the street is right now, and it's like very busy. I mean, the complexion of Bangkok in the morning is busy, energetic, and you know, I'm actually used to it now. But I mean, the first time I got here, I looked at this traffic, and I thought, this is amazing. Like, everyone's just sort of weaving in and out of people. And, you know, people will cross the street whenever they can, and you basically just sit there, and the drivers don't stop for the crosswalk. They assume that you are going to weave in and out of them, and then they just keep going, and you just sort of make your way across deliberately, and you weave in and out of the traffic. And it's very functional, and there's very little honking, in contrast to Ho Chi Minh City. But anyway, so actually, I just wanted to check in. I know this is a little bit longer, and I'm kind of going through a lot of topics, but I get really excited when I get in this area of Bangkok. And I don't know, I'm not a city guy. I'm a beach guy, big time. But I really like Bangkok. There's something about it, you know. And then one final thing that I will say is I'm here with Gracie, and one of the things I love is that, you know, you can say what you will about, you know, Thailand or whatever in general. And I've heard some people say, oh yeah, it's one of the most dangerous. I think Bangkok is for a big city. I think it's very safe, and she also feels very safe here too. And I mean, we were out last night. It was about 9 o'clock. We were just grabbing some street food, and there were many, you know, single women just like walking by themselves on the sidewalk, that sort of thing. And you know, at night, I mean, this is dark, but you know, it's safe. And look, there are plenty of unsafe places in San Diego, and there are plenty of unsafe places in Bangkok too. So anyway, it's Mike's just checking in on a Tuesday morning at about 7:30 in the morning from Bangkok, saying, I hope you're living the dream. If you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong, and you're probably not hanging out with people that are part of startups in one of Asia's biggest cities.